Don't fake it till you make it. Face it so you can become it. And there's a key difference between faking it till you make it and facing it until you become what you want to be. Because the flawed advice is that you should pretend to be confident until you achieve the thing you want. That's like old school. Pretend that you're confident even when you have no skills. Pretend you have all the information even when you're an idiot and you really haven't studied. Pretend you've prepared when you haven't prepared at all. This can lead to imposter syndrome, and it can really hurt your lack of genuine growth. It's not going to support your growth when you're living in imposter syndrome. Because when you're in imposter syndrome, if you're living in that and you believe, oh, I'm not ready, I haven't prepared, but I'm going to act ready and confident, you're out of alignment. These things are not lining up. So when you're in alignment with integrity and with your identity of, man, I've been putting in the work. I'm coming back to the center. I've been putting in the work. I'm excited to be here. I know I don't have all the information, but I've been doing my best in preparing to get to where I'm at. Then you can create more alignment of being exactly who you are in this moment. So an example that I give that, and I'm the biggest example of this because I grew up with a lack of confidence, a lack of knowledge, a lack of skills, bottom of my class in school. Took me 7 years to graduate college. Pretty much everyone I meet in the world is smarter than me, is how I think about it. Smarter than me, not wiser than me, but smarter. Smarter in school, knows more about math and history and, anything that you learned in traditional school. You know probably more than me about every subject because I didn't pay attention. I didn't study. I struggled all through school and it was like, it hurt my brain. So all that stuff that we learned, I forget it all. But I've had a lot of wisdom through street smarts, through relationships, through sports, through business, through navigating the world, through negotiations, through speaking, through pitching, through all these things. And when you have no friends, like I did growing up, 0 friends, I got really good at sitting in the school and watching people. Maybe it looks a little creepy because I'm just kind of like watching classmates walk around the hallways and I'm seeing people observe and connect with each other and seeing how this person responds to this person when they speak. And I just observed people all day long. When I go to an airport, I sit there and I just watch people. And I see how people think, how they move, how they act, how they respond to situations. I see what's on the TV. Why is someone watching that TV? Why are they glued to that? Psychologically, I tap into people's minds and hearts and try to understand their soul, try to understand why they are the way they are. So I've learned from being unliked, unlovable, and alone most of my childhood to how to navigate the world by understanding human psychology, social cues, what makes people tick, and so on. Anytime I'm out, I observe, I watch, and I ask questions. And I think when you ask questions, you can create amazing opportunities. So again, when I was starting in the business world, I was in my mid-20s. I got done playing arena football. I got hurt. I was on my sister's couch for a year and a half, and I had to figure out how to make money to get off my sister's couch. It was a big need for me. And I started going to these kind of industry networking events. First locally in Columbus, Ohio, where I was living and where I'm from. I would go to these kind of local meetup business events. Then Twitter, social media became a thing back in 2008, 2009. So I started going to social media related events because I was doing a lot on LinkedIn at that time. And I wanted to just meet people. And then blogging became big. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to these blogging meetups, these Twitter meetups, create these LinkedIn events, all these different things. All these national events. Let me travel to New York and San Diego and LA and go to these bigger conferences. And at the beginning, I knew nothing. I was an idiot. I was like the dumbest person in every room, right? And I felt that way. So I wasn't going to say, let me just act like I have all the wisdom and the knowledge and I'm like the smartest person here. I'm not. I'm a nobody. I haven't done anything yet. I'm just out of college. I'm figuring out my life. I'm sleeping on my sister's couch. It's not an exciting person to be around. I wasn't like some big New York Times bestselling author with the biggest podcast in the world with all these different followers. I didn't have that. I was a nobody and I knew it. But I knew I had something to offer still, even though I was in the bottom and I was the least knowledgeable person in every room and had no money. I had nothing to offer in what normal societal terms would think as this is someone you want to be around. So I went into it with a game plan. And I was like, I'm going to lead with my confidence of who I am because I'm a loving, passionate, joyful human being. I'm a giving human being. I'm a friendly human being. That is something I can bring to the table in any situation. I'm not going to have the answer to stuff. I'm not going to be smart. I'm not going to be able to say witty things. I'm not this funny comedian. I'm not going to make you laugh. I don't have that. But I can ask good questions and I can be engaging and I can listen. And I'll tell you what, that is a massive superpower. It's probably the biggest superpower that anyone can have if you want to build real intimacy in relationships. So instead of you walking into the room and acting like, I went to this school and I was top of my class, or I have this business or whatever, lead with humility, curiosity, and be a great listener. Because you don't have to be the most knowledgeable to be interesting. Because the most interesting person in any room is the most interested person in other people. And that was a big takeaway for me. For whatever reason, in all these big kind of networking or industry events or trade shows, I somehow found a way to get to the private dinners later in the evenings, to get to the private meetings with all the top speakers and executives and CEOs. Somehow I would get included and invited. When I grew up alone, having no friends, being laughed at in school, being picked last on sports teams in elementary school, being in the bottom of my class and feeling like a nobody. Somehow in my mid-20s, people are like, hey, come to this dinner after the event. Hey, come meet this CEO. Hey, be here with the lead speaker, the keynote speaker of the whole event that just spoke in front of 10,000 people. Somehow I would work into these rooms and I'd be in the room where it happened and I'd connect with people. And when you understand that proximity is power, it was about proximity, not about knowledge, that created opportunities for me. The ability to be able to sit down and have some of the most famous, successful individuals in the world say yes to let me interview them was because of proximity early on. It was not because of skill or knowledge or intelligence or where I went to school. It was because I would literally ask a question, not related to their business, not related to their fame or success, but just a question about their heart, about them as a human being. And by doing that, they were like, wow, most people never asked me that. And then they'd share more. And then I would just listen intently. By doing that, 30 minutes would go by and more people would come up and be listening to the story and I'd be sitting there asking more questions. And they were like, dude, this Lewis guy, he's like the most interesting person here. You guys need to meet him. And I would not say anything about my life. I'd just ask questions and somehow I would be in the room where it happened all the time and get around the right people and just continue to create those relationships. So again, you don't have to be the smartest person. And I want you to embrace vulnerability and seek help to foster real personal growth and development. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.